Legal Amigo here, your friendly Stanford attorney at your service, based out here in California, working hard to do what I can to help people help themselves understand and navigate the law. Today, we're going to be talking about tips and practical pointers for how you can think about hiring an attorney. Maybe you've hired one in the past, maybe it's been a while, maybe you've never hired an attorney. I'm going to run through a handful of just very practical considerations and some tips for you to think about when you're doing that. All right, tip number one. Obviously, if you can get a referral, do it. If you can get a referral through an attorney you trust, that's the best. Do that. Maybe you know an accountant. They tend to know attorneys. Maybe you have a friend who's used an attorney recently. Maybe you can post on social media to see if anybody has used an attorney for your type of problem before. Maybe you don't want to do that, but maybe you do know a business acquaintance who's used a good business attorney. It's always best to get a referral. Figure out, how does this attorney work? How long have you worked with them? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Attorneys oftentimes have groups where they can post about cases for other attorneys. So I'm in a few groups like that where attorneys post to refer cases to other attorneys. So that would be a really good example of how knowing an attorney can help you, because they can go out and find you somebody who's interested in your case and then vet that attorney, kind of look them up, look up their website, look up their background, and see if they might be a good fit for you. So those are just some basic thoughts. Obviously, if it's a divorce and you need to find a good divorce attorney, maybe you happen to know a friend who went through a divorce and hopefully they were happy with their attorney and can refer you. By the way, you need to hire an attorney in your state, or for a legal action that took place in your state, or going up against someone who's in the state where the attorney is licensed. There's some nuance, but that's generally the case. So just think about that it's got to be an attorney generally licensed in your state, usually. Now, the second thing to think about is looking up reviews of the attorney. Now, we can look up Google reviews, Yelp reviews. Maybe the attorney is on a website called Avvo, AVVO. Maybe there's other reviews on the attorney. Obviously, you can Google this attorney, look them up, see what reviews are out there. It's good. At a minimum, you're going to want to see mostly good reviews. You're going to want to understand the bad reviews. But just because you see good reviews, by the way, doesn't mean that the attorney hasn't had bad reviews. Sometimes attorneys will pay people to take their reviews off of Yelp or Google or whatever it is. Not just attorneys, but businesses will do this too. So just keep that in mind. But certainly something you're going to want to do, because then if you see bad reviews, that's probably a bad sign no matter what. Just know that sometimes the reviews can be manipulated somewhat, and just keep that in mind too. The other thing you're going to want to do when you're hiring a new attorney is get a free consultation if you can. A lot of attorneys, including me, will offer a free consultation to new prospective clients. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe up to 30 minutes, something like that. And you can get to know them and ask your basic questions and kind of see how they think, and also see how they interact with you. Does it feel like it's going to be a good connection, like a trusting partnership? Does it feel like they're being respectful of you, like they're answering all your questions if that's important to you? Does it feel like they seem knowledgeable? Do they have good communication skills? Does it seem like they've done this before? And don't be afraid to ask them pointed questions like, how many of these types of cases have you handled? What sorts of clients do you normally work with? What do you think of my case? How do you plan on working with me? Whatever's on your mind. But definitely, if you're able to get a free consultation with maybe 2 to 3 attorneys you're thinking of hiring, and then choose the best one. It's always good to get a second opinion anyway, especially if it's something important, and especially if you don't have a referral, but even if you do, right? Okay, so just a few things so far. Get a referral if you can. Think outside the box of who the referral might be from. Like I said, maybe an accountant, maybe it's a fellow business owner, a friend, something like that. Number 2, look at their reviews. But don't automatically assume they're amazing if they don't have any bad reviews. And then number 3, get a free consultation if you can. Then there are a few other things to consider. So you're going to want to think about their fees. So be sure to ask them what their hourly fee is. They'll tell you. If they ask for a retainer, that's pretty normal. Like get a written engagement letter and to get paid up front for at least a certain number of hours of work. And then they might replenish that retainer. They might ask for more money if they need it, if they need more time to work on something. But at least figure out what's the minimum retainer that they need to get started on work, and know that it could go beyond that in some cases. Ask them if they'll accept flat fee payment. I do that sometimes, for example, with very predictable projects. So if it's a contract I've written 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, I don't know if I've written any 100 times. But anyway, if it's a contract I'm familiar with, maybe I could offer flat rate pricing. So ask the lawyer, do you offer flat rate pricing? Sometimes lawyers will do that for incorporations, for forming LLCs, for standard agreements that they're used to working on, maybe for some other projects, but it's worth at least asking. So ask how the retainers work, ask if they take a flat rate payment, and then you might also even ask if they would consider getting paid on contingency. If it's a dispute, if it's litigation where you're a plaintiff and you're suing someone, ask if they'll get paid on contingency, which means that they take a percentage of the outcome. They only get paid if you get paid, and they take a percentage of the outcome. They might take, say, between 30 and 40% in most cases. And that might be worth considering if you don't want to pay an attorney an hourly fee and you want a good attorney and you're happy with them and you're willing to do that. Just keep in mind that sometimes they don't cover expenses in those cases. So make sure you ask, what about expenses? How is that treated? And then also make sure to ask, what happens if I withdraw? What happens if I don't want to move forward with the lawsuit? Because some attorneys will do work for contingency, but if they recommend you sue, or they recommend you keep moving forward in the lawsuit, but you pull out, they might charge you like expenses or maybe even an hourly attorney fee. Keep that in mind. Read the engagement letter they send you. Ask them. Never be afraid to ask an attorney any questions. And if they get upset that you're asking a question, maybe they're not the attorney for you. The most good, respectful, trustworthy attorney should be more than happy to answer any of your questions and make you feel really comfortable. And the last thing to keep in mind is you can always fire your attorney no matter what. And there might be some agreements, like I just said, where, yeah, maybe if you don't move forward, maybe even if you fire them, you might owe them money. So look into that before you sign those agreements. But if you're paying an attorney hourly, for example, if you're not doing a contingency thing, or if it doesn't have that provision, no matter what, you can always fire your attorney. You can always get a new attorney. Just remember that. You're not stuck. All right. I hope all these tips were helpful. Get a referral if possible. Make sure you check reviews. Get a free consultation if you can. Pay attention to what they're charging you and how that all works. Ask them if they're willing to take a flat fee or a contingency if that's applicable. And remember that if you're not happy with your attorney, you can always fire them and choose someone else. Good luck to y'all out there, and thanks for your time and attention. Please give me a follow, give me a like if this was helpful. Hope you have a great rest of your day, y'all.